However, you achieve much greater functionality when you team it with products around the Microsoft Office suite. So when teamed with products like Word for document management, when teamed with products like Excel, when teamed with a product like Outlook, you can link these products directly into SharePoint to provide additional functionality. So again, many people ask me is why does Microsoft provide Windows SharePoint services for free? And my answer to that would be it's obviously that Microsoft believes that it will make more money by selling the products around SharePoint that interact with SharePoint to give it more functionality. So again, if you implement SharePoint, you achieve the best functionality with the latest versions of Office. So again, this is what a common strategy should be, is to not see SharePoint as a single entity, as a single item in a solution. It achieves its most power by integrating with common Office applications. And again, I think the important thing to remember is for many of the SMB style clients is a product doesn't have to do everything. There are very few products out there that achieve everything the client wants. In many cases, you just need to build something that is near enough. Think about the difference between creating an accounts application in Excel versus using it in MYOB. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. But Excel, for example, gives you the flexibility to be able to create the reports that you want very easy, very quickly, add information, link to information. MYOB is fantastic for what it achieves. However, it does lack a certain amount of flexibility and does require a higher amount of training and knowledge to use. So again, it's a case of looking at what solution is the best for the client. And again, in many cases, it doesn't need to be perfect. And the good thing about implementing something around SharePoint is, given that it's a tool, it can improve. It has the tools, it has the functions to achieve a whole range of things that may not have been achievable with a dedicated tool. And again, the important thing about this is that it's flexible. Clients want flexibility in the solutions that they're provided. They don't want to be locked into something that they feel is going to limit them going down the track. So, the advantage that SharePoint provides is it can capture business information. All right, so it's all about capturing their information. Now, the best illustration that I have of this is if you go to your desk or you go to a client's desk at any location and you have a look at their desk, you have a look around their desk, look at the information that they've got stuck up on walls, look at the information they've got in notes lying around their desk, look at all the post-it notes they've got stuck on their monitors. Then ask yourself, or ask the business owner, why isn't this information digital? The employee has a $2,000 computer sitting on their desk, yet they find it easier to work with information on bits of paper stuck on the wall. That doesn't give you the advantage of, firstly, that it's never backed up, and the second disadvantage is it can never be searched and can never be shared with anybody else. So again, one of the most successful ways to view SharePoint is to say, okay, all this information, all this ad hoc information that we've got floating around the office, why can't we digitize it? Why can't we get it into a system that allows us not only to back it up, but to also have it searchable? Once the information in there, it's fantastic, but the problem is, how do I find that information? I need to be able to access it very quickly. Again, SharePoint comes to the rescue. SharePoint allows you to effectively index every piece of information that's stored within it. So this means that if you store lists or libraries or contacts, they're indexed, they're searchable. If you store documents, Word documents, Excel documents, PDF documents, you're able to index and access the information within those documents automatically. If you ask a client where they go to find information, their answer is going to be Google. That's fantastic for information outside their organisation, but ask them, how do you find information within your business? How do you find that one word, one phrase within a document, within your file server? How do you find that? Chances are they won't have an answer. So in this case, this is where SharePoint provides a huge amount of business information, the fact that it can index all the information that's stored within it. And finally, SharePoint can provide the ability to streamline the business processes using the workflow engine. Success in business is generally made up of how much you can automate. How much can I do that's repetitive and pass that off to a computer or pass that off to a process that will run the same way every time. For those of you who haven't read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, this is an excellent example of what he's talking about. He's talking about documenting processes, putting them in place so that anybody can replicate them, so that they can be run through automatically. How many processes in a business follow the same route all the time, yet they have to be done manually? So imagine a vacation request. How many clients or how many times have you put in a vacation request and it's sat at the bottom of someone's in tray? You don't know what the status is. Using something like SharePoint, you can submit a vacation request automatically. That can be forwarded to a manager to approve. They can then approve it, and that information and that approval can then be fed back to the person. So again, think about SharePoint as three things: the ability to capture the business information, the ability to index and search that information, which very few products are able to do at this stage, and finally, it's a tool that allows you to streamline and automate the business processes. One of the most important things about any software tool or any solution that we provide these days has to be about empowering the users. The users have to feel that they can take that tool and they can work with it. They feel that they want ownership. They don't want to be constantly calling IT people saying, oh, please can I create this? Please can I upload a document? Please can you create a web page for me? They want to feel that they are able to work with the tools they have. And that's why products like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, those sort of products are so common, because users know they can open with them, work with them to get a solution. Now, everybody knows that the solutions they come up with may not be the most perfect solutions. However, as I mentioned earlier, for many businesses, near enough is good enough. And the feeling of empowerment, the feeling that I own the technology, I'm able to work with it, I understand it, is far more important than necessarily getting something that exactly fits their needs down to a T. Users also have a great fear of technology. Okay? They fear, oh, it's a new product, I'm going to have to learn this, this is going to be too difficult, is this really going to work? This fear can be alleviated by allowing them to adopt or feel ownership. If they feel they can work with the product, they're far more willing to take it on board. They're far more likely to use it within their business. They're far more willing to accept it. So again, it's important that any technology that will be accepted by a business, they have to feel they own it, they have to feel they understand it, they have to feel they can use it. And again, I think SharePoint fits the bill for that. And think about it. One of the major issues around most businesses is the employment or the onboarding of employees. As an example of the automation power, imagine if they had all their processes, all their requirements, all their company information in SharePoint. When a new employee comes on board, they don't need to run around the office asking, how do I do this? Who do I contact? What happens here? SharePoint can be their first point of call for that information. And again, given the power of its the ability to search all that information, have that indexed automatically, that means that they're not going to sit there floundering, clicking millions of links, trying to find the information they're looking for. They can simply go up to the search and type what they're after. As they become more familiar with this technology, then they're more likely to use that as their first point of resource. That means it's going to be far